Are your brows like this where it's nice and full, but it's really low up in the front and your eyes look a little too close together? So you want the brows to look a little like this after. So if this is your eyebrow, you definitely want to stick around because I'm going to show you how to make that a little bit more balanced. Hey everybody, it's Jasmine, your brow expert. And if I'm not your brow expert, why not? So definitely subscribe if you're not already. Sometimes the brows, when it's really full and low up in the front, you feel like your eyes are a little bit too cross-eyed. So even though you have full or even thin eyebrows the rest of the way, but the front is just thick and wide and low, that is why I wanted to do this video, just to show you how to lift that up. I've been with Anastasia Beverly Hills for over 25 years, so I've seen just about every different types of eyebrow, and the models that agree to allow me to use their eyebrows, I thank you. And so, which is why most of the time their eyes are closed. But without further ado, let's get into this model. She's got nice thick brows. It's not full, like wide, but it's definitely thick, her strands of hair, that is. So that's why I'm just going to use limited amount of products, but it will still make a big difference. So I am going to make some drawings on this eyebrow just to show you, give you a visual as to how low her brows go. So right over here, it's going, now the last bit of the hair up in the front, this is where I'm drawing, believe it or not. And you know, one side's always a little bit different than the other. So and you can clearly see with the pencil how different it is, or not much different, but just a little different. And so the idea here is to get them a little bit more lifted right up in the front. But you know, I'm pointing these areas out because oftentimes when we tweeze our eyebrows, we go right up in the middle to lift that up or make it look more, I don't know, give ourselves a bit of an arch. What ends up happening is a lot of times we end up getting too round. So that's why I have that circular look on the other side of the eyebrow. So that is where you want to be really careful and not tweeze too much down below in the middle part of the eyebrow so it doesn't get too circular. Not that that's a bad thing, but it ends up just being unbalanced. And so balance is the key here. You're not going to get it perfectly balanced, but as close as possible, which is what these brows are. It's a little bit more balanced. It's still a tiny bit uneven if you really looked at her eyebrows, but the size of each one side to the other is it's almost the same, meaning the width of the eyebrows. So here I'm applying the highlighter. Very important when you have thick brows like this or thick strands of hair, the highlighter really helps in keeping the brows looking fresh. And just by applying a tiny bit underneath the eyebrows, I like to use sometimes a highlight that has a shiny side and a matte side, or just the matte side. This is an eyeshadow base pro pencil. Any of these would work as long as you just put a tiny bit underneath and a tiny bit underneath here. Now, notice that I'm holding the highlighter laying down. I never hold it this way because then you're going to flatten the end of this stick. So you always want to make sure that you're laying it down so you're keeping the circular part of the highlighter. So I don't know if you tend to do that, but that's something to keep in mind, right? Okay, so I'm using the medium brown Brow Wiz. The Brow Wiz is perfect for this because she doesn't need a lot of color, right? She just had that front lifted a tiny bit. And so a tiny bit of the Brow Wiz is really all she needs. And this is such a great tip up in the front. Now, at the front, I'm just going very, very lightly, really, by holding it sideways and above the eyebrows. Again, focus on this. Look at this right here. It's just going slightly underneath the eyebrows. This is the area where it's a tiny bit thinner. So I'm just lowering the pencil right at the top area of the eyebrows. I'm just edging it, meaning right at the base of the hairline. This is not necessary, but I always like to do a tiny bit, just leaves the brows a bit more polished. So if you were to do this on yourself, you would just kind of hold the pencil this way, laying it down. Everything's laying down. So that way the pressure isn't so heavy. And up in the front, you don't want to do this. You want to do this, right? And I think most of us already do that. So by doing this, you ensure that the color goes on without too heavy. So just a little, I like to go kind of in a circular motion so it doesn't go too square. You don't want it too harsh as well. And here you want to go down below. I like to hold the pencil this way because you get it really right at the edge. Again, it's very, very little. I mean, she probably doesn't even need much pencil, to be honest with you. But I just like to do, again, a tiny bit. It's really mainly down below the pocket of the middle of the eyebrows and just right at the edge. So on both sides of the eyebrow, she just has a little bit of extra color underneath to give that balance, because the front is still wide, the rest is not. Not that wide, but and if you're doing this side of the eyebrow, again, I'm holding the pencil laying down, going right at the edge. And then over here, notice how I'm holding the pencil right at the edge. Now, if this feels awkward to you, you can hold it, but make sure you're laying it down. Okay, you just don't want to hold it head on. And right at the, it's all about going the edge when you have full brows like this, but just a tiny bit lower here. So the clear brow gel is really all you need. If you feel like you need something stronger, definitely go with the brow freeze. But the clear brow gel just holds it nicely. She's got thick strands of hair. She doesn't need anything too strong. But look at this. It just, there's more balance. And I'm just going back and forth and focusing mainly down below, down below. Beautiful before and after, right? It's, like I said, it's, you may not feel relatable to this brow, but it's, what I really want you to see is that the front, that gets tricky. And I recently had a client that had very similar brows like this. It was very low, like down below. She knows that she has to lift up some of that hair. I told her, do a highlighter right underneath or a concealer and see how high you want to go. Then tweeze some of those hairs below. If she can't get to a professional or to me all the time, she lived further away. So that is the best tip I have for you. This way you get this balance. So it's all about the balance for this eyebrow. I hope that helps. Now my brows look a little fuller and it looks a little bit done, right? I didn't put much, or actually I put a little bit of color on when I was using the Brow Wiz, but very little because I have an old brow tattoo. Now if you guys are wondering about the tattoos, the pros and cons, I have a few videos if you scroll down on my main page on some of my personal experience on the brow tattooing, because I still get asked about that if it's for you. I am going to list all the makeup I have on my face. It's not much. Like today, I just wanted lip gloss, just clear gloss. I don't, I was feeling a little lazy, but today was all about blush because I love blush and I love liquid blush, especially because even though I'm not really dry, I am combination more slightly to the dry side because I'm, you know, my late 50s. So everything that is dewy and slippery, I love. And which is why I've been obsessed with these blurring blush serum. I think that's what you call it. And this one actually is the darkest one we carry. And believe it or not, when you first put it on, it's like, whoa, really intense. And then when you spread it out, it really works nicely. It's not for everybody, this color, but there are some other colors that I know will work really well. But I've been obsessed with this. Thank you for your engagement. Thank you for being on this platform. And I will see you guys next week.